As a licensed clinical social worker, one of the first things we assess during a mental status exam is whether the person is alert and oriented. We ask 3 simple questions. Are they alert to person, to place, to time? And if the answer is no, basically, it means that there's some confusion present. Nurses do the same thing, alert and oriented times 3 or 4. But what if I told you God asks us the same questions spiritually? So perhaps people don't accomplish their goals, or they're not able to birth the promises that God has for them, not because they lack faith, but it could simply be because they are spiritually disoriented. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Coach Yaboa, pastor and licensed clinical social worker. Today, I just want to show you how the mental status exam, something that we pretty much do in clinical settings in our everyday life, something so simple can be understood spiritually. And if you're going to birth any promise that God has placed in the inside of you, understand that you must be spiritually aligned. You must be spiritually alert and oriented to person, to place, and to time. Tomorrow, I'll be going live talking about birthing the promises of God and 3 keys to birthing the promises. I would like for you to join me as we talk about it. But let me give you the gist of it. Birthing the promise requires 3 things, as I mentioned: person, place, and time. See, one of the first things that the enemy does is attack your identity. That's the first thing the enemy does, is attack your identity. Once you're disoriented to your identity and you forget whose you are and who you are, you begin to feel challenged in so many ways. You begin to experience low self-esteem, worries, anxiety, because you're unsure about everything, because you don't even know who you are. Your relationships begin to speak to you, begin to tell you who you are, when really you belong to God. Jesus was tempted when Satan came to him and said, if you are the Son of God. He knew he was the Son of God. He didn't have to prove himself. So he responded to Satan. You see, Satan was not questioning Jesus' power. He was questioning his identity. He wanted to see whether he knew who he was. And most of us, we just don't know who we are. And because of that, we end up in situations that we were never meant to be. You cannot birth the promise of God if you don't know who you are. He calls you called, chosen, redeemed, equipped. And you see yourself as my trauma, my addiction, my diagnosis. I've made so many mistakes in life. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Now, let me talk about place briefly. Where has God planted me? Where am I? Because we ask the patients, do you know where you are? Do you recognize the season you're in? Do you know where God has placed you? Are you supposed to be here? Are you supposed to live here? Do you recognize the burden on your life? You see, Joseph had to survive the prison before he was placed in the palace. That location was significant in his next level. Are you physically disoriented? So much so that you cannot figure out where I'm supposed to be right now, what I'm supposed to do right now. So someone who is disoriented to place, right? If we have a patient, we have a client disoriented, they may even feel unsafe because they don't know their surroundings. They don't know what they need to be careful about. And so spiritually, if we don't recognize where God has us, we fight the process he has us going through in order to produce the promise. Let's get to time. What season am I in right now? What am I doing? Okay. You need to be oriented to time. Now, if I ask a patient, what year is it? And the patient is like, it is 2037 or 2015. I know there is confusion present. What day is it? You don't know what day it is. Ecclesiastes tells us that there is a time and a purpose to everything under the sun. Everything. There's a time to mourn. There's a time to harvest. There's a time to plant, to reap. There's a time for everything. So if I do the wrong thing at the wrong time, I am not spiritually alert or oriented. So that is how a lot of us are not able to birth the promises of God in our lives. A client that's disoriented to time oftentimes cannot tell you the sequence of events. Like them misinterpret things that are happening. They can say, yeah, during the war, and you're like, there's no war going on right now. It's 2026. Spiritually, we may not know God's timing. So much so that we become impatient, discouraged, and we become so impulsive. You're going to birth an Ishmael instead of waiting for your Isaac, because you don't know the time you're in. So you're rushing for something that isn't due yet. You're feeling overwhelmed about waiting when really it isn't time. I'm a social worker. I break things down for you to understand that physically this is how it works. Spiritually it's the same thing. Your identity, your assignment, your season. Those three things are going to determine whether or not you're going to birth the promises of God. When any of them is missing, it's like when anything is missing, you will not be able to go for it. There's still going to be confusion, because clarity requires that all these three things work together. That's alignment. So for you to make wiser decisions, persevere through the process, be positioned for the promises of God, you have to be aligned to these three things. So when you think about the mental status exam, we're asking whether somebody's oriented to person, place, and time. God often will ask us the same thing. Who are you? What do men say I am? Right? Who am I? Everybody is saying what they're saying, but who are you? Your family is trying to define you, but who are you? People tell you you're not capable. People tell you you can't. Who are you though? Where am I? Where has God placed me? And that's how often we don't recognize even the people God has placed in our lives, because we just don't know. Do you recognize the season you're in? Because if you don't recognize, you're going to go ahead of God. Birthing the promise requires being spiritually alert and oriented. And confusion, what confusion does is it delays you. You're doing the wrong major. You're in the wrong relationship. You're working at the wrong place. It delays your purpose. But when clarity comes, it positions you for fulfillment. I want you to meet me tomorrow. This is one aspect as it pertains to you I just described. But I want to take you deeper. When it comes to birthing the promise, I want to take you deeper. So tomorrow on the live, I'm going to take time and explain to you, beyond being alert and oriented to self, right? To you. We need to be alert and oriented to things around us and to what God is doing. So tomorrow I take you to another level. Meet me Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern, and that is 11 a.m. GMT. See you tomorrow on YouTube. Bye-bye.